worldview training for cultural transformation. We believe true morality flows from biblical principles and directs people to the manner in which God intends them to live.
Thank you for standing with the American Family Association as we seek to stop the erosion of godly values.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildman, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Today's Wednesday, May the 1st, 2024. Again, we appreciate you listening to AFR. Joining me in studio this morning is Ed Battagliano. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Tim.
And Fred Jackson.
Hi there, Tim.
And let's see, Steve Paisley Jordahl, should give him his formal name.
Formal
title will be coming up the next hour. And Fred, by the way, Fred, I want to give you an opportunity. You serve as in addition to co-hosting this show with us, you serve as news director.
Correct. For
our news service. Tell our folks about our news service, because they need to subscribe if they haven't already.
Absolutely. I tell you what, in the day and age in which we live, we just feel blessed that here at American Family Association, American Family Radio, that your dad, Tim, you and now your sons have carried on as a priority to get information out to our audiences from a Christian perspective. And that's what American Family News is all about. It's looking at the day's news, which we're going to be doing in just a few minutes, major developments on the anti-Israel front overnight. But from a Christian perspective, where do we get our basis for truth? It's from Scripture. That makes us very different from even Fox News, which many of us appreciate. So afn.net is the website. Go there. Our team of editors take stories from not only our reporters, but also from our other shows, Jenna's show, guests that they have. They build stories around that, and we present them at afn.net. Now, you can go there if you'd like one daily email, Monday through Friday, from us, kind of a summary of the major stories of the day. You can go to our website, go up to the right-hand corner, and you can sign up. Just put your email address in there, and we promise it's one email a day with that summary. It's a tremendous...
One free meal a day. What'd you say?
One email a day.
One email a day.
Yeah,
okay,
my bad. Yeah.
Well, in a manner of speaking, it is like one free meal a day.
Yeah, we'll send you a hot dog in your email. But listen, folks, it is worth it. You can use it for your family, obviously. You can use it for your Sunday school, if you're a homeschooler, whatever the case may be. It's tremendous information of what's going on. You know, in my Sunday school class, the last couple of Sundays, we've spent a good chunk of that talking about, for instance, what's going on at our universities over the last couple of weeks. What's behind this? And we've talked about this before. This is part of spiritual warfare. You cannot divide these things out from what's going on in the spiritual realm. And it's so important for Christians to understand that, and that's part of what American Family News is all about.
If you haven't already, folks, you need to go subscribe to the daily. That's Monday through Friday, right?
Monday through Friday.
Once a day, Monday through Friday, you get the news of the day digest, basically.
Correct.
From American Family News.
That's
our
right.
news service, which you head up, Fred. So if you haven't subscribed to that, how easy is it to do, Fred?
Right-hand side of the afn.net, the website, afn.net. All you have to do is just put your email address in there, and you will start getting our daily emails.
AFN, that's American Family News, afn.net, afn.net.
Mm-hmm. Then there's a button on the right that says subscribe.
Yeah.
Okay, it's very simple to do.
Yep.
All right, what's the first news story, Fred?
Well, what we've been talking about a lot over the last couple of weeks, major developments overnight on the front of the anti-Jewish, anti-Israel protests that have been going on at numerous university campuses across the country. Late last night at UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles, riot police moved in. Very interesting development here. There were a group of people came on campus to confront the anti-Israel crowd on that campus. Now, somebody was just telling me this morning the reason those pro-Israel people arrived is that a Jewish student on the campus was beaten up rather badly, and they decided to come in and defend the Jewish students. There was quite a confrontation there. Riot police moved in. But also, late last night, finally, the authorities at Columbia University in New York finally called in the police to put a stop to what was happening there, because we know in the last 24 hours, a group of those anti-Israel students had actually taken over a building there. They actually held hostage some of the janitors in the building. They rampaged, they broke things up, but the cops finally came in last night and put a stop to that. Also, at the City College of New York, something very interesting happened there. The New York City Police moved into that campus, and you know what they did? The anti-Israel students had put up a Palestinian flag on the campus. The police came in, tore down that Palestinian flag, rolled it up in a ball, and threw it on the ground, and they put up the American flag back where it should be. So that was what was happening last night. But also a couple of other things, and we've got some audio to talk about also, reaction to all of this. At Northwestern University, not Northwest. Northwest is a Christian college in Seattle. Northwestern University in Illinois, they kind of put a stop to the protests there, but they had to give in to, that's wrong. They decided to give in to demands by the pro-Palestinian protesters. And I want you to listen to this, folks. One of the key demands for the protesters is that the university divest from corporations that profit from Israel's occupation in Palestine. That's a quotation from them. So they're going to have a say now in what investments the university can make. Further, the university said it will support visiting Palestinian faculty and students at risk. I'm reading from the AP here. Providing funding to faculty members for 2 years and the full cost of attendance for 5 Palestinian undergrads. In other words, hey, if you will just be nice students, we'll give you a full load scholarship at our school.
Where is this?
This is at Northwestern.
Oh, no, that's, Chicago.
Okay.
Oh.
Now, at Brown University, there was also a protest there. Students there, also the anti-Israel students, they demanded and received, they basically want a total say in what investments the school is allowed to make. And they must not be investments in anything, any company associated with Israel. So that's the kind of thing that's been going on in the last 24 hours. Wanted to give kind of a slice of some of the reaction that we've heard from various people. Former Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard saying the protests are not just anti-Semitic, they are also pro-Islamist. She has a little lesson for us. Cut number 1.
Obviously, it is first and foremost maintaining the peace, law and order, enforcing the law as we're seeing our police officers do every single day. But the underlying issue that I hope everyone is paying attention to is the violence, anti-Semitism, and the pro-Hamas calls. You hear some of the calls that these kids are doing on these campuses saying, we hope October 7th happens 10,000 times over. They are parroting this radical Islamist terrorist ideology that Hamas, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, all of these organizations are trying to perpetuate around the world, which is the extermination of Jewish people and a propagation of their radical Islamist rule. They want to establish Sharia law and a caliphate around the world, and that's the short-term and long-term threat that these groups pose to freedom-loving people and civilization everywhere.
You know, kudos to New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Okay, now we've been critical of those who are in charge of some of these big blue cities, but now Eric Adams, former New York Police Department captain, I think, all right, he said about what happened overnight with the police coming in and removing these students. He says, quote, "It's despicable that schools will allow another country's flag to fly in our country." And he also said something that Tulsi Gabbard is talking about as well. He said, again, quoting Eric Adams, "There is a movement to radicalize young people, and I'm not going to wait until it's done and all of a sudden acknowledge the existence of it. This is a global problem that the young are being influenced by those who are professionals and radicalizing our children. I'm not going to allow that to happen as the mayor of the city of New York."
Wow.
Yes.
Sounds like Frank Reagan.
Yes.
Oh,
So that's at least is a good sign that some of these politicians, even in blue cities, blue states, are waking up to the danger that these college campus protests are revealing.
You know what this is? This on a broader scale, what this has revealed is, well, first of all, on the positive side, there was a survey done that I sent to you guys. It was a national survey, and I can't remember if it was Gallup or Rasmussen or who did the survey, but it was a reputable polling firm, and found that the vast majority of Americans do support Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So that was refreshing to see, because all these Israel haters are getting all the attention, especially on these college campuses. But broadly and generally, the American people still stand, as we have historically, in support of Israel.
Yes.
That doesn't mean everything that Israel does we support. It just Israel can make mistakes like other countries can.
It was a Harvard Capps Harris survey.
Harvard.
Yep. Showed 80% of registered voters said they support Israel more in the war, while 20% said they support Hamas more.
And that was Democrats and Republicans.
Yes.
So that's the good news, okay?
Yeah, right.
Because I was beginning to get worried. I was saying, now it should be 100% or 90%,
right.
but I'm thinking to myself, wow, if American support for Israel starts to get 50-50 or underneath that, then that's not good.
But now I will say this, though, to the point being made by Mayor Eric Adams.
Yes.
If that 20% is, if the majority of that is young people, that does highlight the problem going forward of having these college professors who are indoctrinating young people to hate Israel and hate America. They will become the political leaders in the future. So it is good that that problem is being confronted now.
I hope these colleges and universities collapse.
I do too.
I just hope they flat go out of business because they don't have students coming there.
Yes.
Yep. But, it's going to take parents. Some of these kids were saying, some of the Jewish students said, I'm paying $70,000 or $80,000 a year to come to Columbia in this case. Well, parents, you better wake up. Now you know the kind of junk that's going on at these schools. Do you really want the money that God gives you to go to these schools to indoctrinate your little Janie or Jimmy into hating Israel?
And hating America.
And hating America.
Yeah. That is something that's good that this has been exposed.
Yes.
Right. To the and it's interesting to watch liberals sort of like my eyes have been opened here. Like Eric Adams, mayor of New York, like John Fetterman, the liberal senator from Pennsylvania. He said the other day, he said something about these people think they're going to, I don't know, do something with these pup tents.
Yeah.
They got in other words, he was mocking these protesters, these, 19, 20, 21-year-old protesters.
Yeah.
Listen, what's lost in this, too, is let's go back to the original reason why Israel went to war in Gaza.
Yes.
Okay, nobody ever wants to talk about that. Nobody from these pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas protesters. They just want to say from the river to the sea or free Palestine or, ceasefire now. Wait a minute. Let's remember. What started this was there was peace. There was a ceasefire, I should say, prior to October the 7th.
Yeah,
October the
on
7th.
October 6th, there was a ceasefire.
Right.
Mhm.
And Hamas decided to send their parachute, hang gliders. Oh, not hang gliders, but you know what I'm talking
Got
about.
paragliders.
They went into these Israeli Jewish settlements, kibbutz, this music festival, and they butchered 1,100, 1,200 people in the most, like they were animals for the slaughter.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just
Entire families.
entire
Men,
family.
women, and
no,
children.
no mercy at all. Just ruthless, and that's with a capital R. And then, I mean, things we are unspeakable. We can't even talk about them because it'd make our stomachs upset here on the set because it was so wicked. But so that's what happened. Okay, you're telling me, I'm speaking. You're not you all, but
Right.
you're for those who would be for ceasefire now or whatever. You're telling me that if let's just say another country like Cuba or Mexico, let's say Cuba went over into Miami and murdered 1,200 Americans, right?
Right.
Or Mexicans went in and murdered 1,200 Americans in El Paso. Or you're telling me that Americans would be satisfied with basically no response?
Actually, if you use the 1,200 as a percentage of Israel
Yes.
and have an equivalent in
In the U.S.
in the U.S., I think it's like 35,000
Okay.
would be the number of victims.
Let's just say then 35,000 Americans in Miami and Fort Lauderdale were murdered by Cuba. I'm just using this as an
Right.
example because they're a bordering country or
Yeah.
whatever, so to speak. You telling me Americans would be wanting vengeance and justice, and they would be wanting punishment to these people so that this never happened again, especially since they're so close to our borders.
Yes.
Well, that's the way the Israelis
Right.
feel. So I don't know where people get off saying ceasefire now, because I'm sorry there are civilians there and non-combatants in Gaza, but you can't let the idea, the fear of innocent people dying, which nobody likes that, but that happens in war, especially when the terrorists that you're trying to get to hide behind innocent people in hospitals and schools and build tunnels. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's going to even increase the likelihood of civilians losing their lives. Is it a hellhole, excuse me, for the Palestinian people now in Gaza? Yep, it is.
Mhm.
It is, and that's the cost to their people for what their people did to the Israelis, to the Jews on October the 7th.
Right.
Yes.
And that's been the history of war
Right.
ever since the dawn of humanity. So this
Yes.
this idea of ceasefire now, listen, these people who are saying ceasefire and peace and whatever, are they saying release the hostages today, Hamas?
Right.
No, they're not even saying a word about that. And who knows how many of these hostages are still alive?
Right.
How many months away are we? We're like 7 months out, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
So-
we know that at least 30 of the hostages are dead.
Right.
Wow, they've acknowledged that?
They've acknowledged
Okay.
that they're holding the bodies because they know the Israelis want the bodies of their soldiers
Yeah.
back, or the Israeli citizens.
So, anyway, Israel has to do what it has to do to defend itself and to keep this from happening again.
Right.
And those who are just second guessing them all along the way are those who are saying, ceasefire now.
I think those are people who hated Israel to begin with,
I agree.
and this is not something suddenly dawning on them.
Right.
Oh, we need peace there
Right.
because of the suffering. They hated Israel to begin with, and now they're using this as another way to have leverage against that nation. That's what I think.
You know, U.S. Attorney Andy McCarthy was interviewed on Fox this morning, because the next step in all of this are these radical students going to be held accountable for what they did, particularly those students who took over the building there at Columbia.
Right.
They held hostages. And so he has some comments about,
Were they not arrested by the police?
they're arrested, but
They need to be kicked out of school, too.
They need to be. They need to and that's what McCarthy is saying. They need to understand there are consequences beyond being arrested, taken down, booked, and then let go.
Right.
So, cut number 3.
There has to be expulsions. If people aren't expelled, Brian, this is going to go on. Sending out exactly the wrong signal. Was it Northwestern yesterday completely folded and gave a bunch of concessions to them? That's the kind of thing that tells these people this stuff works. What will matter to these kids is being expelled, because that has academic consequences and it has professional consequences. I was looking this morning at the charges that are going to be brought against these guys in New York.
Yep.
Like all of the ones who were in Hamilton Hall were charged with third-degree burglary. First of all, that's a no jail crime in New York. You get probation for it because it's deemed, believe it or not, to be a nonviolent felony. And the second thing is the cops can try to charge these guys with whatever they want to. It's up to whether Alvin Bragg will prosecute them. And it's not like these kids did something serious like falsify their business records or something, So
I see what he did there.
Yeah.
First of all, Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan District Attorney, the notorious Alvin Bragg, he's not going to charge them a squat, okay? Maybe slap on the hand.
Right.
In New York, anything short of being a serial killer in Manhattan, you get off that afternoon. You're booked that morning, they feed you lunch, and you're let free that afternoon.
Yeah.
That's the way life goes in New York, especially in Manhattan, and New Yorkers don't care.
And you know what? They go, hey, isn't it wonderful? Our jails are empty.
Right. That's right.
Crime is down.
Crime is down. So, you know what's also interesting to me is, yes, there's been attention to these campuses where these protesters have gotten a lot of traction, like Columbia, some other place, UCLA, some other places. But there's also been some places where they've been shut down, even by the students, fellow students. Florida said they're not tolerating it. The University of Florida yesterday said there's a time and place to protest. We have a First Amendment. You can speak your mind, but you can't interfere with other people going to class. You can't block roads. You can't block going to airports. You're just not going to be able to do that in Florida, in Texas, North Carolina yesterday, I think. University of North Carolina. I want to say Chapel Hill, which is a liberal school. Even they said you're not going to be able to. Go ahead.
Do we have time to play just 13 seconds of audio of some UNC students?
Okay. UNC Chapel Hill, right?
Chapel Hill singing. Cut 9. This is pro-American students at UNC Chapel Hill. So it's not all bad for them.
And they were putting up the American flag after it had been taken down?
Yes.
Let me tell you this. Was it Jason Aldean, the country music singer, says, try that in a small town?
Yeah.
Remember that about a year ago? When that song got some national controversy or whatever? Meaning you're going to try this kind of crime in a small town because you're not going to get away with it like you do in a big city. I would say in the South and the heartland of our country, what these people are doing in New York and L.A. and Chicago ain't going to work. Yeah. It's not going to work because the even as liberal as some of these schools are, they're not going to tolerate this kind of behavior.
Right.
Which is refreshing to see. So, see, sometimes we need some good old boys.
Yeah,
that's right.
Huh?
As long as they follow the law, too.
Yeah, right. All right, we'll be back momentarily with more of today's issues on the American Family Radio Network.
It's my turn. Here
here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildman.
The Bible contains the story of David and Bathsheba.